Look, the conflict in Afghanistan at this point, I don't think the president had very many options, frankly. It was either to ramp up a new war. You'd have to get to 15,000 or 10,000 troops or zero, given the decision that was made by the previous administration. The concern now is what happens when al-Qaeda tries to come back in, because I believe the probability that the Taliban will retake large portions, if not the entirety of the country, are substantially high. And what we've been pressing for since this announcement and even before is what is the plan to deal with a resurgent al-Qaeda threat that initially could be regional, but ultimately could threaten the homeland within a number of years once they've reconstituted and have a safe haven. Once al-Qaeda is able to operate in Afghanistan, somewhat like they did pre 9/11, it becomes how are we going to come after them and how are we going to stop that from happening?
So it seems like you're saying that President Biden had all bad options and then chose the one that was the least bad. Is that
Yeah, the decision to leave was made by the previous administration. Yeah. And once that decision was made, if you reverse it, you're going to get into an all-out war, or you have to leave. So really the question from that moment forward became, what are we going to do? I think once we leave, the probability of the Taliban taking over the country or substantial portions of it are very high. And when that happens, the probability that al-Qaeda will come back in and reconstitute itself are very high. And within a number of years, they could have the safe haven necessary to begin external plotting and coming after us here in the homeland. So what's our plan to address that? We're not going to be in Afghanistan. The neighboring countries aren't necessarily going to allow us to operate from their territory. We're going to lose intelligence insight. So I want us to be prepared for that worst case scenario because I think there's a high probability of it. And I think that's really what we should all be focused on now.
Do you feel like there's any preparation for that at this point? Do you hear anything that you think?
Well, we wouldn't necessarily hear it. I think everyone's well aware of the probabilities here, of the probabilities of a Taliban takeover, of a probability of an al-Qaeda resurgence. At the end of the day, I don't disagree with the assessment that the world has changed over the last 20 years and that the challenges we face with China, Russia challenging our democracy, North Korea, Iran, that there needs to be more attention and more focus paid on that. Again, that doesn't mean counterterrorism is not important, but to the extent that on the counterterrorism front, a reconstituted al-Qaeda in Afghanistan is going to pose a terrorist threat to us eventually, certainly in the region and beyond. So I think it's time to start preparing what is our plan. If there is no Afghan government, if there's a Taliban government, how are we going to reach these, how are we going to sustain pressure on those terrorists if they start targeting us? And so do I think there's planning on it? Sure. I mean, we want to see more detail on it, and I'm sure we'll be asked to fund it.
Are you aware of any threats to the Capitol ahead of next week's speech by the president?
No, I'm not aware of any.
How do you feel about the report that they may be bringing back that outer layer of fencing in part out of?
I think those decisions need to be made on the basis of security considerations. I think people that are experts at what wouldn't be necessary, and that's a political decision. I don't think it should be used to send a message, and I don't think it should be used and I don't think we should be cautious about doing it if necessary. But I'm not aware of any threats, but it wouldn't certainly be anything in our committee. That would be a domestic matter.
How much of an opportunity the meeting with the lawmakers to ask questions or to express their own views to the briefers?
Well, I mean, I think it would be especially useful for members that are not on committees that have already met with some of these folks and have been going through this. This is something that we've certainly been involved in the Intelligence Committee now since late last year when the previous administration had made these decisions. So it was good to see that the first 5 or 6 members that asked questions were members that are not on those committees after the leadership asked their questions. So I think there'll be an opportunity. They're going to be in there asking questions for a while.
This was your first briefing with this specific group of people. How did they do? Are you satisfied with how they've done their job so far?
Yeah, I mean, my interactions with the Director of National Intelligence have been very professional. She's been excellent to work with. So I've had less interaction with the others, but generally it's been a positive experience working with them.
Hey guys, did you know we have a podcast called WJ Live?
The Western Journal's mission is to equip readers with the truth, and that's the same mission we have on WJ Live.
You'll hear from writers, editors, and special guests on the most important topics of the day.
You can catch us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Pacific, right here at youtube.com/WJ Live.
While you're there, help us out by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. See you there.